Greetings, Summoners. Today I want to make a short video about how to make a character in the Shin Megami Tensei TRPG for Devil City, Tokyo. The very fastest way, there's sort of three main ways to make a character. You can use a pre-made sample character. You can play as a demon from the bestiary, or you can make your own full scratch. So here is a sample character over here on the left. In the book, they are numbered, I believe, 1 to 12. They have a name on the left, their level, their XP, the classes they start with here. This is a candidate of fate, meaning like they're basically like this is a versatile, quote-unquote, protagonist type class, and then they are summoner, so very much the protagonist from SMT 1 there. And he has a demon ally, the pixie he can summon. She's level 4. It has her stats, her target numbers. The important thing here is like her spell power here. She does 12 plus 2d10 exploding dice. Actually, that's probably a transpose error. I think she's only supposed to have 1d10 there. I will change that. Anyways, the main thing with summoners is that their MP is shared with the summoner. And then on these sample characters in the book, they have two options. They have the gifted stage and the awakened stage. Typically, it's recommended to play immediately with the awakened stage. You can start gifted if you're going to sort of role play out the awakening scene. But generally, you would just take the awakened stat block for like maximum speed. Because this is what you're meant to have, like, if you're fighting demons. If you're just gifted, then you kind of don't stand a chance unless you're higher level. But again, the stats, target numbers, the power values, dodge chance is important. You use the value in parentheses most often because he has the uniform, which gives 5% dodge. Talk, which is just a chance at conversation rolls. Humans, null, expel. Initiative. The important thing here, health, MP, physical defense, magical defense, fate points. So the fate points are used to summon the fairy and alter dice. Your MP is quite low as a human, so it can be tricky to have to pay for your allies' spells, but luckily pixies are quite cheap, and he doesn't have any other MP costing actions. Speaking of, you will have your list of actions here. Everyone can do an unarmed attack. He comes equipped with a katana, though. Demon summoning, this I forgot to change that. It basically just says spend a fate point, summon fairy. It's a minor action. Analyze is decent, lets you see a demon's stats in combat if you didn't learn about them prior to combat. Negate an attack against you. Does extra melee damage, has extra item power. Really just a versatile character who can make up for his lack of spells by summoning a demon who has spells. We'll quickly scroll past some of these other characters. He's more of a melee fighter. She can transform into the unicorn. Here's a detective gunslinger. Doctor magician. Miko plus archer. This guy's all about unarmed fighting. The SDF officer. This class in general just has like a really strong set of equipment, but their abilities, not to say that SDF officers' abilities aren't good, but they're very team buff oriented, and so he doesn't have a lot of active skills, but he starts with a shotgun and a bunch of armor. Playboy journalist, this one's very focused on information gathering, which is a pretty important aspect of the pre sort of combat part of the procedure. There doesn't always have to be combat, there doesn't always have to be time to learn things about what you might be fighting, but in the event that you're following the recommended procedure in the book, she excels in the pre-combat part of the game. Then we have the demons. As you can see, they have just one stat block. This pixie is actually level 5. She has an extra skill of one more stat point. Jack Frost, of course, and then Akechi. So here, I'm not going to go over the book necessarily. I'm going to jump to the full scratch pages, but quick glossary about what the different terms are. But it does immediately jump into the full scratch creation. So yeah, choosing a sample character is basically the quick start method. You just choose one of the 12 that are already made, or if you have a GM that has prepared other characters to choose from, then you would just simply pick which one suited your fancy. In SMTX, it has something called Awakening. So there's these 3 tiers. The Awakening Tier 1 Gifted. The characters are quite weak. They only have a single class, and only a single class's worth of stat points, which is kind of the big differentiator between whether or not your character is going to be relatively strong. When you have more stats, the big thing is that your health points will tend to go up, or your MP if you're going for more magic. Awakened characters, this is kind of like, so levels 0 to 5 you would be gifted, and then once you hit level 5 you can then awaken if you so choose. Most of the time people will just awaken right away. It's not a real choice to not awaken, unless you just haven't decided what your second class is going to be. But as I just said, you would choose a second class, and you stay in this tier for the longest amount of time. It goes from like 5 up to level 40, and the XP gained by the book is relatively low. It's split between the party and kind of designed in a way such that boss battles will tend to level you up. You might fight some other battles, you may do some other activities that award experience points, but it's usually not going to amount to very much, except over a longer period of time. Then the final tier is the metahumans. You choose a third class, or you can actually fuse yourself with the demon and just become a demon. But the metahumans, because they have 3 classes, they have very many skills, they have a lot of base stats, and they receive a lot of versatility, but most classes stop getting skills at around level 50. So even though the levels go much higher than that, unless you become a demon or you have demon-related classes like the summoner, your human classes are not going to be giving you more skills past level 50-ish. Which isn't really a problem, because you probably have a lot of skills at that point in the game. You're starting to have a wide variety of equipment items that you can exchange out that may grant skills. Every 10 levels you get an additional skill. So there's really a lot going on, and you're not going to be hurting for more, I don't think. Here it mentions demon PCs. They automatically use the tier 3 experience track. That just means that they level up the slowest. I guess one benefit of staying at a lower tier is that you'll level up faster. Then the Devilkin Awakening. This is when the human PC becomes a demon. I'm not exactly sure why they call it that. It's sort of a mix between, like, the Japanese term is kind of like you eyeball it, it kind of seems like demi-fiend, but it's not quite, and it also doesn't quite say demon awakening. It's demon human awakening. It's a bit odd, because you cease to be a human at all at that point. You're just a demon. But going over the quick procedure here, so the full scratch, you have the point-by-point details. So interestingly, 0, the trailer, the GM says, hey, this is what I want to run, this is the scenario. I think that it would be good to make a tier 2. We'll make awakened characters. I think someone should have this contact. These kind of backgrounds sound pretty good to me. This may deviate a bit from how a lot of people do like a session 0. Japanese games tend to put a lot more emphasis on the GM constructing, not necessarily scripting things point for point. Like, the book will tell you to do that and then also say, don't worry about it if things go off the script, that's gonna happen, just roll with it. But you know, but the GM says, hey, here's what's going on, we should make characters that fit this theme, which I think is definitely good advice, rather than just saying, like, you don't want players showing up to a table with a character already made, because then that adds a lot of preconceived notions that the scenario may be tailored to that character. You lose a little bit of the camaraderie that's in this process, which we'll get to in a second. Actually, it's right here, point 3. But number 1, character creation. That's what we're about to go over. Then lastly, you fill in the personal data, like the name, etc. And then the third option is, once everyone at the table has made their characters, there's a relationship table, which can just add a little bit of fun to see how 2 characters may be related to each other. So it does this outline, we immediately go into another outline. This one's a bit more descriptive about what's actually going on here. So you'll choose your classes, you'll allocate bonus stats, you'll write down your skills, you'll choose the equipment from your classes, and if you have any starting money, then you'll spend the starting money. You can choose your backgrounds or roll for them, choose your contacts or roll for them. Then, like above, personal data does the personal data. Character data, this is basically just crunch the numbers on the sheet. And then lastly, the PC relationships. So the class selection, let me actually duplicate this tab right here, because it is going to have you, the classes are not in the outline, so I'm going to try and do it in order. Class selection. Select a class from the list on page 43. Good thing I opened that. So there's quite a few classes. I think I want to make something like a brawler type character, but I want them to be a bit non-standard. So I think I want to do the Bancho, which is like a delinquent, but he's like the leader of some delinquents, but he's, you know, I say he as if that's like a character archetype you're picking. The skill set lends to you just being a tough guy. You're not necessarily the strongest around, but you've got a lot of grit. So I guess I'll start from the top here. I mean, you have the little description, but these awakening keywords. So if this wasn't your first class, or rather if you weren't in character creation, you'd have to meet one of these keywords to be able to awaken as a Bancho. These are typically very vague, very loose things to basically make a player justify their choice of the class. And there's certain classes like the Doctor where the awakening keyword says that you probably aren't going to awaken into becoming a doctor in the course of play. But if you develop an aptitude for medicine, or if there's a long period of time where like your campaign does a time skip and your character went to med school or something, then it would be fine. Same with SDF officer right here. Typically should not gain the class via awakening. But if you had some kind of training, again, time skip, training montage, that kind of thing, then it may be justifiable, because it assumes it, and you do the flavor how you want at your table. It does presume that you are actually a member of the self-defense forces. But getting back, strength 4, magic 1, vitality 3, agility 1, and luck 1. So they're strong and they're tough. And that's really all you have to do. So, I mean, I guess because we'll just stick with the order, because we're doing an awakened character, so we'll do 2 classes. I wanted to do a Bancho and a ninja. Now, the classes are not like D&D classes where they give you proficiencies or anything. Like, ninja's not really sneaky. In fact, ninja seems to be rather strong, a little tough, pretty quick, and the luck is kind of meh. And so the way that these work is that you add these classes together, which is why it recommends you choose them first, because they make up the baseline of your character. So 4 and 3 is 7, magic is 2, vitality is 5, agility is 4, and luck is 2. So now we have our base stats. No stat will ever be 0, and they range from 1 to 40. Then we allocate bonus stats. So let's say the game recommends that if you want like a super bottom of the line fresh start, to do like level 5, right whenever a character they can start the game gifted and then transition into the awakened tier like during the first session. And that happens as organically as you'd like it to during roleplay. Like, the awakening sequence is not a procedure. You can just say, hey, I'm awakening now, or whatever. And when it happens, you do get all your health and mana back, your magic points, but I'm not actually sure if you can awaken during combat, so it would be like something happened and you awaken after combat. It's like a second wind type of deal. I forget the specifics, but this character is going to start awakened, and I like to start characters at level 8 or level 7. So they're just a little bit tougher than the level 5 counterparts. That being said, you write down your stats, add them all up, and you have a bonus stat. You get 1 stat point every single level. And so since I want this to be a tough guy, we have 8 points to spend. I definitely want to put, let's say, 4 into vitality, so now that's a 9. And if we go with a little bit of more luck, I say a little, do 3 points in luck. Every 5 luck points gives you 1 fate point, which can be spent on supporting actions, defensive actions. So it's good to have more of those. And then, just because we're going to be a melee focused character, we're going to put the last point into strength. Next, we learn some skills. These are always determined by the classes that you choose, so we are also another reason why I like to start at level 8, because you get more skills. So there we have the ninja skills, and here we have the Bancho skills, and you learn all of them. Once you hit the level qualification, you just have that skill. So whenever this character reaches level 13, they'll learn Charge, and then the Ninja Fire Breath, but they call it Exploding Flame Art. Now, in addition to this, so at level 1, you get an additional skill, and then at level 10, level 20, every 10 levels after, you get one more additional skill. So let's do the additional skills. So we could roll for it, but typically people just choose. So there's 3 columns. Any player can choose these. At level 15 plus, they can also choose these. Demon PCs may select from this column here, or any of these other ones as well, with the same restrictions, like being at level 15 plus. So, because we're tough, I think... we'll take this skill. So it's actually athletics. That's a typo there. And the athletic skill, the reason why I chose it is because it actually doesn't do anything. It's kind of a non-combat general skill that just represents the fact that your character is extremely good at physical activity. It doesn't make you better at fighting, it just means that, like, if you have this skill, then you're, like, competing at top levels in tournaments, you're just really good at stuff like that. So in the event that maybe you're in a non-combat situation and you want to, I don't know, scale a fence and pull your friends up over it, the GM may call for a check or wonder if that's even possible, but this skill kind of just pushes things into the realm of, like, yeah, I can do that. It has a cost. I think it costs a little bit of HP to activate, which is similar to melee actions, but it's no problem because our character has lots of health. And so, like I said, every first level, every 10th level, you get another one of these. Some of them just stack, like add melee power, item expert. You can just choose those over and over and over, and they give you more damage dice when you roll for damage. But usually expanding what you're able to do is preferred. Like, you know, someone should probably have a healing spell like Dia. All of the elemental skills here are really good to have to exploit weaknesses. Okay, next up is equipment. So the Bancho has an extra contact, and the Ninja has the Ninjato Shuriken and the stereotypical ninja outfit, the black garb. Alright, and so that's all that's really important there. Technically, you don't even really spend your starting money unless the GM says you can. You do start with some starting money, but it's not really a lot. If you're starting at like a really high level, it may not even be enough money to buy much of anything substantial at all. Backgrounds. Very good. So page 50, that's just after here. Okay. So typically you have 2 backgrounds. I was going to write this out. I was looking to draw it on this picture I took of the character sheet, but that's not really going to work out. Level 8. Bancho Ninja. So actually a lot of the Japanese sheets that I see online where people will host their character sheet on something akin to, say, if you're familiar with Myth Weavers, or because it's system agnostic, but you could, we could say, oh, like D&D Beyond, where it just houses character sheets. To call them sheets is not correct. They use a text file, basically. So for the Bancho Ninja, they would write their stats. It would be like 4 plus 3 plus 1 equals, and so like this would be class 1, class 2, and then their growth. And then once they get another class, they'll put another plus in, like plus 1, right? They'll have it all written out like this, and they'll have their skill, and they'll have like the, because this one's actually limited use, and these other ones are basically free use. This one is a passive, and so is that one. Doesn't really say that in the class list here. You're meant to just go look them up. I just happen to know what all the skills do. Background selection, right. So here is a fun way to roll dice. Like, you have lots of tables. I think what most people do is they tend to do, like, you can roll for the main table and then roll on the subtables. You can choose everything you like. I'm going to roll, I like to always roll on table A, and then I'll roll for the, for one of these two. So let's do roll 1d10. So we get a 10, which is alienated. And I'll just type out the copy paste this. So already we kind of have an interesting character here. Before recording, I did not pre-plan the character. I just kind of had a vague idea in my head where I wanted to go with it. And Bancho plus Ninja is a very non-standard character, I think. I think most people will tend to choose two complementary classes, typically one that'll be focused on having attacks with a weapon. So if you want to do melee attacks, you choose swordsman. If you want to use guns, you use gunslinger. These two don't really focus on attacks necessarily. And they have like a grab bag of different abilities, but definitely tough. Life bonus is a big health increase. Enhanced dodge is a strong dodge increase. And now we have basically a tough guy who's a ninja, super athletic, but feels alienated in perhaps his school, his life, or whatever. So I'm going to roll on these two tables. This will be 1 to 10, or sorry, 1 to 5, 6 to 10 for table B, table C. Alright, so table B, and then this will be the roll for that table. 1. DDS. Well, so you have the choice of re-rolling. I think because this character is not necessarily a demon summoner, and I don't want to, you don't really want a character who's like good at everything. Like, oh, now he loves early 2000s internet surfing. He's got a computer at home. He's summoning demons. We'll just re-roll it. 6. Oh, the Ring of Gaia. Okay, well. It's also using the other spelling. You're a member of the Ring of Gaia. They have ninjas, so that's excellent. So maybe that's where he got his, what's it called? He got his ninja training from. Okay, so the contacts are interesting. These are NPCs. They're all in the back of the book, so we'll go take a look at those as well. For the first table, you always just go roll on one of the subtables. So this one is, again, A, B, C, D, E. Okay, so we'll roll. We'll add 2 dice, we'll roll it. So this is which table and the result. So 6 is table C. And then we get a 4. So that's, oh, Master Therian. Okay. 2 masters. Let's see, is Andrus on here again? I'm not seeing him. Ah, here he is. He's a radical member of the Ring of Gaia. So those are important characters that are connected to your character in some way, and that you're able to reliably contact or meet with to answer questions about what's going on in this alternate version of Tokyo where demons are starting to reappear in society, and the political powers that be, mainly the Tokyo government and like the United States, or the martial law headquarters, are, you know, they've been doing things behind the scenes. They're starting to poke and prod into each other's business. Relations are getting heated, that type of thing. So we chose the backgrounds, and the contacts are then sort of determined as a result of that. Oh, because the Bancho starts with an extra contact, I'm going to roll again. 6 and 10. Okay, so that is the same table, but it's 10. Oh, another another character from the Ring of Gaia. Let me number these so they're a little easier to see at a glance. It's actually very similar to my very first character that I made for this system, who I just made him like a fighter or a brawler or something, but he happened to also be, I think he got amnesia, and he was from the Ring of Gaia. It's just very coincidental there. Choose the contacts. Yeah, we did that. Personal data. Well, he needs a name, so let's call him. Just call him John Showtime. Oops, I keep hitting save. Put a space there. So, John Showtime. He's a big show-off, but he's also sneaky, so he shows up in the right place just at the right time. Yeah, age, gender. Because Bancho is flavored like a schoolyard tough guy, I had a young school-aged guy here in mind, but you can really change the flavor up of a lot of these things. There's certain classes like the Wicca and the Miko which presume that the character is female, and they describe themselves as if they're young women with mystical powers and stuff. But mechanically speaking, you know what I mean. Like it's good to stick with the flavor provided. But like if you wanted to be an older man, right? Maybe you used to be a boncho when you were in school, but now you're a salary man and you're just still a tough guy, even if that's not necessarily like your primary image. There's ways to change how it's represented to fit the trailer that the GM is proposing. So here we have some, and I'm going to actually get rid of this. We'll have the, let's see if I can hit a tab, yeah. Target numbers. We start calculating the values that make up the character, which I think is a very clever thing to have you do last after you've chosen all your stats and you have all your equipment, and you don't need to know what any of these things do necessarily. The game's pretty easy to min-max in power games, so I feel like it's not necessary, and in a lot of cases you'll just have a bad time in an arms race against the GM, because it'll never work out in the player's favor, I promise. So really just choosing what seems cool and fits an idea in your head is going to make for a much more compelling character, with a few exceptions. The sample character that was the playboy journalist who has no combat-oriented skills at all and has lots of luck and lots of agility. She does get a gun, and guns are a bit weak. But having having magic attacks, having focusing on like a melee skill, if you're melee focused, is going to make the combat more satisfying if you're aiming to land hits and win and stuff. But in a lot of cases, like that character who doesn't have many attack skills, if they just buy damage items like the elemental stones, like the Agi stone and things like that, you can definitely supplement not having high stats and good equipment by preparing consumable items ahead of time or buffing allies where they can shine in those situations. But let's do the target numbers. So all of them down the line, you take the stat multiplied by 5, add your level. So here we have 48%. Here we have 18%. That's 53%, 28%, and 33%. So as you can see, even at level 8, these target numbers on a D100 die are not looking hot. If I had put everything into strength, my attacks and accuracy would be very good. And generally, honestly, if I were to recommend a start, you should put all of your points into strength, magic, or agility based on the type of weapon or attacks that your character is focusing on. Just so that when you happen to do those actions, like attacking with a sword or whatever, you're more likely to succeed, so you don't feel like you've wasted your turn or anything like that. The combat is pretty quick, and it can be fairly lethal, so that's more so on the GM and Lady Luck's side to provide enough information to the characters on how to deal with a combat situation, what defenses or items to prepare, and also making sure that the players have a little bit of a buffer in the way of starting items, like maybe on the way to that first boss fight you find one of those resurrection items. They're not super expensive, but they are priced out of the character creation range, I think. So it can be tricky. Also, same with like medicine items. It's a big heal, very useful. So here we have our powers. The melee power, that's going to be your strength plus your level. So that's just 16. Range power does not add your level, and that's just a 4. And then the spell power is going to be magic plus level. So merely a 10 there. So we'll have physical defense of the base is your vitality, so lots of defense. But so we do have some gear. I'll go look up and see what these do specifically. I know that the fashion item gives an evasion bonus, so that's really good. But it is a full body armor, and so is the black garb. So you can only wear one full body armor. They're mutually exclusive with any other armor category. Initiative is technically a power roll. Initiative. Gotta write that right. So this one's a bit odd. It is the average of your level and your agility. So here we would have a 6 because it's 4 plus 8, 12 divided by 2, 6. I like to write, so we'll just do like HP, MP, Fate. I like to put the consumable things all up here. So the base Fate is 5, and then every 5 luck points, which is we put 5 there, you get 1 more. So I'd have 6 Fate points. Affinity, I mean, you should write it down, but it's... if you don't have anything as a human, it's just null expel. If you're a demon PC, that's definitely going to be different. I skipped one of these. What is it? Oh yeah. So we're going to have the dodge target number is 10 plus your agility, which is 14%, but we have the enhanced dodge passive, which is 5%, and the fashion item gives 5% dodge. So we could actually have 24% dodge chance, which is very high for how low level we are. Then we'll have our talk target number. Most of the text in this PDF is going to refer to it as a conversation check, because that is the proper way to refer to it. Talk is just the shortened way. So that'll be 20 plus luck times 2, so we'll have 30%. Not bad, not decent on talking. It does, that value goes up to 100% at max luck, but the way that talk checks work is you tend to get some kind of effect even if you fail the result, and then if you succeed the result, you get an improved effect. So this one, the talk checks are not always binary pass-fail. HP, that's going to be vitality plus level times the multiplier. So for humans, the base multiplier is 4. But because we have life bonus, that 4 is going to be a 5. So our 17 vitality plus level is going to become is that 85? And normally that would be in the 60s otherwise. And then MP is your magic plus level times 2, so we only have 20 magic. Right, so because I skipped those, we did all these on the right column already. Starting currency, I'll put that out in my items. So it's just your level times 50, so what, that'd be 400. And that's not a lot of money. It says that one maka is 1,000 yen. I wonder what the inflation rate is like. Well, especially with the Japanese yen being not very strong at the moment. Yeah, and then so you'd sort of do like a round robin thing for the relationship table. So if the PC to my left and the PC to my right, we'd roll on this table to see how we feel about each other. So let me just go ahead and roll 1d10. 7. So the person on my left, local ties, we're both from the area. Maybe we were childhood friends. Maybe we went to school together. Yeah, childhood friend with PC on my right. So it's just a nice way to sort of figure out how the players know each other. So you don't have to do any weird, you all meet in the tavern type of deal. These are all just suggestions. It's in the character creation stage because when everyone's at the table and everyone's talking, everyone's on the same page, you all roll on the table together here, and it just creates a fun situation to be like, oh, maybe we're cousins. Oh, wow, I didn't think of that, and it's another reason why you don't want to necessarily show up to someone's table with a character made already. Because you're going to have a character that feels more aligned with what's going on with the other characters in mind as well. And so that basically ends the character creation process. You choose your classes, you figure out your stats, you calculate your numbers, and for these things here, we're definitely going to go quickly look at these skills and items in the PDF proper. So actually, if we come here, fashion is 5% dodge. We don't need to go look that up. Let's see what the difference is for the black garb. So this is actually ninja only. It gives covert action. Ninja already gets covert action. So what that happens is if you're wearing that armor, the open box skills are kind of like a checkbox. So you're meant to put a check in them, fill them in after you've used them. And when you have 2 of them, you put 2 checkboxes. You can use that skill 2 times. But because it does not give... right here is fashion. So it gives enhanced dodge 5. Because it has a number in parentheses, it's according to the developer Q&A, it's technically different than this skill here, which is just enhanced dodge with no number after it. It just happens to increase dodge by 5%. So these 2 stack as a result. I believe in a supplement there's also something that gives enhanced dodge 10, and that would stack with all of the above. So let's do Shuriken. So it is a thrown weapon, so it would use the ranged power, so it would be Hit 0 power 20. Okay, so it actually adds 20 power, so it'd be 24 power. Ranged. So, and we'll do ninja sword. Also, oh, did I call it the ninjato still? Aha, straight sword. And so you can throw the shurikens. The way thrown weapons work is a little odd, because you're meant to prepare up to 2 weapons, so they're readied and you can use them. I don't know, like, it doesn't make an exception for ranged weapons, so you'll just have to say, oh yeah, perhaps you can throw a ranged thrown weapon specifically whenever you want. Perhaps you ready 1 thrown weapon and you can throw as many as you have. Just a little prickly part if you want to be picky with the rules. But the ninja sword's very simple. It has no extra skill. It does gives a little bit of extra power. So you have 16 power, so it's going to be 30 power. With a extra 10% hit chance, so our strength is 48, and that's going to be a 58% hit. Not wearing, but it gives covert action. The outdated Gakuran, that's basically, if you think of Jotaro from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, he's got the high collar and is just a mean dude. A mean looking dude. Alright, so I mean, that's the items, right? You just go look up what they do. You should write down what your damage number is. I guess, let me make it a little more complete and obvious. So here it has merely a 28% hit chance for the ranged attack. So it's, you know, even though the damage is pretty good on it, the hit chance is not that good. But let's do these skills. So we'll do covert action. So here's like the short description. This is good to automatically succeed a covert action. The sample characters do not help you figure out what these skills do, which is in some cases not very useful. But here, conduct an undercover investigation, flavor text, obtain 1 piece of info, or discover a trap. So it can help you with an exploration, or it can help you during the investigation phase. Let's see, we'll... I was going to... I really should have started from the top, huh? So here's the enhanced dodge without the number in parentheses. It adds 5 to dodge checks. Toxic Sting. So this is a ninja skill, and the ninja, perhaps I didn't go over the description, they start with taijutsu before they get into ninjutsu. So the taijutsu being like more martial arts oriented skills. Toxic Sting, enhanced dodge. So these are all even up till counter are basically all kind of techniques that someone could learn. Well, fire breath being like a... that's more of a ninja art, but that's just one ninja art. And then once you get to the illusions, Amaha dance, basically Sekunda, Makajama, they can move into sort of a supporting role as they level up, which is pretty cool. Toxic Sting. Costs 8 HP. It is a thrown attack, so it's actually 28% hit. Looks like Ninja is a little more agility focused than I thought. But it has ranged power, +10, curse affinity, 40% poison. So definitely just write down all the important information. Just like one foe, right? On the character sheets, I did actually prepare two. There's a skill sheet as well, so you'll write the name, the cost, target. This is kind of an old version. Like you see up here, it still says fight, magic, and shoot power. Whatever. Judgment, it's supposed to be target number. It's not a big deal. But you just fill in everything from the skill. Ideally here, where like it says strength and stuff like that, you would just you would write the actual value. I have a Google sheet that makes it do it for me, but whatever. Definitely, like, because like I was saying before with the Japanese people that use just a text list, you know, you can use tabs and format like a text looking table, no problem. Just make sure you have everything you need to know. But Toxic Sting, it's a ranged attack, so it can hit into the back row regardless of what row you're in. If I was more agility focused, and you know, this is one reason why you'd want to look ahead for your skills and stuff before choosing your stats. Early on, it doesn't matter that much. It's not that big a deal. But, because these other attacks, well, lunge is a melee attack. So, yeah, it's 6 HP, 1 in the front, 15 extra power. So this is an unarmed attack, so even though the ninja gives you a sword that's actually pretty strong, you can't use it for lunge. You just use your you use your body and tackle people. So if you don't want to spend HP to activate lunge, you can attack with a ninja sword. But it actually technically does 1 more point of damage. But comes at the cost of a slightly lower hit rate there. And it's just strike damage. So this is HP multiplier becomes ×5. Since we're in the skill list here. Oh, that's overlapping a bit. You can still read everything though. So we'll do taunt. That's in the support magic. Debuff, taunt. Wow, it costs 20 MP. That's very convenient because it we only have 20 MP. So you can do a big taunt. This one's a bit long. The full description is anyway. You definitely can decrease this as however much you want. So like this just says physical magical defense of all foes down. So we'll just say minus 1d10 defense, but plus 1d10 power. But plus, sorry, it's not a different 1d10, but plus, but Raise power by same amount. There it is. So you just roll one, oh, I'm going to taunt someone. Here's all 20 of my mana. I was hoping for a 1, because that'd be really sad. You lower all their defenses by 5, which is going to help your whole team deal more damage, but their damage goes up by 5. So it can be a little bit of a tricky situation there. And then athletics. This is the skill that I said doesn't do anything. It's true, but you can see that it just targets yourself. Ooh, it's agility? I thought it was a strength check. Whoopsies. Well, oops. I made a character that really wanted agility and gave them a lot of strength. Sometimes that happens. It just means I need to level up and grow into that role a bit. Or, go back, recalculate some things. Not a big deal. But here, skill that demonstrates proficiency in sports, not martial arts, meaning that it does not aid you in combat necessarily, but you excel in running, jumping, climbing, swimming. It's hard to write a shortened effect because mechanically it does not have an effect, but that's what makes some of these skills interesting, like survival and maneuvering. One of the supplements actually adds vehicles, so I think this one comes into play. And then the SMT 2 book, the Tokyo Millennium supplement, actually adds a few uses for both athletics and survival, but namely survival because the idea is that basically everywhere outside of Tokyo Millennium is a wasteland, and so if you don't have the survival skill, you get debuffed or take penalties, that kind of thing. So I hope that explains just going over the process of making a character. It's very quick, not too long. I know that this video is again another long one, but it is it goes faster the second time, right? If you're talking someone through it, explaining it like I did, it can take a minute. But me and my friends, when we've made new characters, we usually get done with character creation in 20 minutes or less, and that's including chit-chat, of course. So, yeah, I think that is going to wrap up John Showtime. You can find a picture and display it however you like, but yeah, for the most part, you just need the text, and to be able to read and understand your skills, make sure you know your items. Speaking of, we looked these items up, but there's still items to buy. So if I go items, we're going to go to the bottom. Too far. Right here, the consumable items. Medicine, 100. I could buy 4 medicines, and that's 50 healing for myself or an ally. Because I don't have healing skills, that might come in handy. But yeah, you see a lot of consumables are pretty expensive. Some of them have a GP limit, which basically is like a level limit. Typically you can buy anything up to your level. Anything up to 5 over is perhaps available for purchase, but may cost more or may have you scrutinized by authorities or otherwise. But there's lots of interesting consumables. And yeah, I mean, once you spend your money, if the GM has you do that, you may find items. This is all pretty much the gist of it, and then the rest is reading the rules, the combat rules, and the investigation rules and the conversation rules, and each of these procedures are self-contained, and the rules for them typically only span like sometimes just 2 pages in general. Like, you can get all the combat rules off of, I think, a single page. We can go to the back of the book here. That's too far. Yeah, my blank pages. Don't remind me! Wow, that's probably annoying to look at. But yeah, the rule summary tells you about criticals, fumbles, how to roll it, power rolls, what you can do with fate, what the stats do, so you can choose what they do. These are the actions you can take. So assist and guard are quite good. So is focus, honestly. How to dodge, how to damage, what affinity does. Here's the bad status chart. You know, boom. Doesn't tell you about front row, back row stuff. If you're doing a really fast pickup game, maybe that's just a rule you omit and just say everyone's in the front row, and then you don't have to worry about adding on another element for perhaps your first game. But that's to taste. Anyways, that's going to end this video. Thank you for watching. Please feel free to subscribe, comment, join the Discord, and check out the PDF. And let me know what else you'd like to see. Thanks, bye.